I heard you talk on AlphaCast, which is a great podcast. Everybody should listen to. It's a really cool podcast.
Thank you.
Talk about quickly your experience with astral projection, out of body experiences.
Yeah, actually, as a kid, my father, who had gotten his master's in psychology, had learned about this through a professor friend of his who was actually working with students to teach them how to do this. And they would astral project and meet each other in LA and fly around at night. And then he was even like doing stuff where he was going to see patients in the hospital that had traumatic injuries, and going in and projecting his astral body into their body and like mending tendons and stuff.
Your dad was doing that?
No, the professor that my dad knew.
Okay.
And so the guy that he knew became close with. So I'm like a 14-year-old having really weird dreaming stuff at this time and I was talking to my dad about it, and he's like, well, you should really read this book. So he got me, he gave me a book on astral projection and how to do it. And then basically, it's I'll have to look it up.
Okay, yeah, no worries about it. Don't worry.
And
this is, by the way, this is a real thing. I listened to a podcast. It was a former CIA guy who was involved in they made the film The Men Who Stare at Goats, but it was kind of a sort of a normie sort of
Trumley, or what's his
psyop.
name? Yeah,
there's a couple guys, and he, I mean, it was a real thing. So, but go ahead.
Yeah. I'm thinking of Robert Monroe. And Bob Monroe Institute is still there, and the CIA actually worked with him. And he, like in that series of books, he took it upon himself to be very scientific with how he essentially observed this phenomenon, and then how it was repeatable. And he would teach people how to do it. And basically, it's about like staying awake while your body falls asleep. And then you get these massive vibrations, which can be quite freaky. And he's like, it can be actually these like loud sounds even. And then you will yourself out of your body. And then you actually there was a time where I was like floating out of my window when I was 16. And then,
so hold on. So you get the book, you read the book, and now what happens then?
So I read the book, and then I start trying it, and I start basically getting the vibrations right away. And then I'm able to have some experiences that usually happen when I'd kind of wake up groggy early morning and then go back to sleep. I'd immediately get the vibrations, because in my conscious, I'm thinking about going out of my body. And it's like on the top of my head, because I'm reading about it and I'm aware of it. And that's really how you have to kick this in. It's like dream journaling and stuff. So your conscious, your subconscious, your unconscious is actually being sent these signals to engage in this activity. And then boom, all of a sudden I'm floating out my window, and I freak out and I snap back into my body. Mm-hmm. And then a couple nights later, I'm like having this experience where now I'm out of my body, and I'm being attracted to my parents' bathroom. So I'm like going through the house out of my body. It's not a dream. And then there's like this dark evil force that's trying to come in, and I end up battling this like dark demonic force within my parents' bathroom that's been attracted to me, I guess. And so it's like this battle of the wills where I feel like I'm almost going to give up and lose everything in my life, and it's all going to end. And it was like this energy was dominating me. And then I finally found it deep within me to say no. And I found like this love of my family, and I needed to protect them. And I shot this creature out, this being out of the bathroom, and then snapped him back in my body, had a massive headache, felt really like tired and out of it. And that was pretty scary and pretty weird.
You're 16 years old at the time?
Yeah, I was 16. And then, and keep in mind, I'm coming from a very like Catholic background, I was an altar server. I think I just stopped being an altar server, but at that time I was actually doing youth groups. And I was actually, a little bit later when I was 17, I was actually leading, freshmen up into the mountains. And I was like a youth group leader. That's when I kind of was almost considering going to the priesthood, because I was having these experiences and I didn't know how to weigh them. I was like, what is going on here? There's obviously dark forces, demonic forces in this world. The Catholic Church has acknowledged that through, the act of, certain priests can do exorcisms and stuff like that. And so anyways, and then I had some weird, really lucid dreams where I'd seen my watcher in this this temple that I was very lucid in, knew I was dreaming, and I could look down these columns and I saw this hooded, cloaked figure looking at me, and I knew that was my watcher, which you supposedly have. And so I was on the path towards this sort of very like mystical warrior path. And then I got to be honest, I got scared by it all. And so then I stopped doing it. I stopped focusing on it. And then in college, a few times I had it where I popped out of my body, not even meaning to, and I was stuck on my ceiling and stuff. My sister got really into it. And because my dad was teaching her about it, because she had an issue with sleepwalking. She was always sleepwalking. And to the point where it was kind of getting scary. And so we wanted her to take control of her dreams. But in doing that, she got really good at going out of body, and she had experiences going to other worlds. And in college, she would go out and be able to see her neighbors in the dorms, see what they're doing, and then come back into her body and then go and then tell them to like prove to them that she was doing this. And then she had a weird instance where she had projected out into another sort of reality on another planet, if you will, or another place. And in this like girl was dying, and this like energy was coming out of her, and she was like, help me. And my sister got freaked out and was like, I don't want to do this anymore. But I'm getting back into it again. Like, I think I'm ready to start kind of going into the astral again. You got to be really careful because you're dealing in an emotionally driven, desire driven realm, where you have a lot of spooks and thought forms that have been released by damaged souls, and you have entities that are looking to attach onto you. So you got to really have your game dialed if you want to start playing around in those realms. And so I don't recommend it.
What's the advantage of doing it? Why would you do it? I mean, besides the fact that it's interesting.
So I want to do it to explore my consciousness a little more, to be able to tap into other. So what it seems to occur is when you start to dream journal and get more lucid with your dreams, you can start working on manifestation better. You can start working on literally affecting things in the physical world. That's literally magic. But then also you can work on your psychic powers. So one thing that was happening to me when I was really developing this is I started getting precognition. I know this sounds crazy, but in fact, at one time I had this before going out for a night back in the day. I knew exactly how the whole night was going to play out. I saw the night. I saw the girl I was going to hook up with, who I'd never really known. I saw how it was going to end up. I saw exactly the whole night, and the whole night went that way. And so I started having little moments of precognition where I knew what was going to happen ahead of time. Some would call that even like little moments of deja vu, where you kind of remember that you had seen this or knew about this, but I actually had precognition where I knew stuff was going to happen before it was going to happen. So like developing those skills, I do believe we have those inherent skills, and that's why time is fluid. It's not so much a linear cause and effect. This place is magical, and we are the greatest technology, and we can actually engage in this stuff when we learn how to properly control and manage it. And there must be an alignment with your moral inner law and in your heart base center of your rightness and reason, of your true being on the path. And if you go like the left-hand path and you're doing this for power and you're doing this for the wrong reasons, it will only cause despair and a lot of damage karmically, even for your future lives, I believe. But if you're on the right path and you're doing this out of service to others, and like if I can really get in tune and like manifest things in a much more fast, powerful way, like for music and sky and stuff, like why not, develop these skills?